Hello and welcome to the Astro Garden, a place for astrologers to chat all things astro. I'm your host Janessa of By Jove Astrology. Thanks for tuning in. Welcome back to another episode of the Astro Garden. This is now this is the fourth episode I'm doing of these little solo adventures. It's Monday, the moon's day. Today the moon is in Gemini, which is my fourth house. I love the moon in Gemini as far as transits go for me personally. I always feel like there's some insight that I glean. It's like, because it's in Mercury sign, there's like this opportunity for I don't know, downloads or magic or communication in like this fourth house way of communication that is very, I don't know, magical to me. I get a lot of like omens or signs just from spirit guides on these days. I like to go for walks on Mercury's day in general, but especially when the moon's in Gemini. I think I'm going to have to make time to do that later today because it's always like every walk is helpful in some way, but I feel like those are the walks when I get really good ideas. And I've been experimenting with the moon transits to the fourth house for a while now, and starting to share that with other people in readings and stuff. It's like a good time to do those types of, I don't know, connecting with ancestry. And I don't know if my experience is unique just because I have a Mercury ruled fourth house. But yeah, if you do that, let me know. Curious to hear others' experiences always. And of course, today, so yeah, it's not Mercury's day, but I'm gonna go on a walk anyway because it feels like an extra Mercury's day when the moon's in Gemini, or 2 days or however long the transit is. Anyway, on this moon day, I also just got my Moon2Moon workbook in the mail. This fall, I'm taking a new class with a new teacher to me, Britten LaRue. It's called Moon2Moon, and yeah, I'm really excited. I've studied now for 2 years with Nightlight Astrology, and I've loved every minute of it. It's been a really good foundation for my practice, and it's really given me that base of which I can start now. Like, I feel like I can add my own interpretations on top of, and also start working with different teachers to like bring in other techniques and other maybe modalities even. So yeah, I'm excited. This is new territory, even though it's working with the moon, which is kind of like Astro 101. It just feels like, with any planet and any facet of astrology, there's like an unlimited amount of study that can be applied. And that's what I love about astrology, is that it is that way. But the moon in particular is really rich in that there's so many different meanings and ways that it connects to so many different parts of existing as a human on the planet Earth. So I'm excited to like focus in on just this one area. And yeah, it feels, so this class is what is it? It's part astrology, and like, but also because it's the moon, it's like getting at like the heart of what like an astrology, what astrology really even is about, of like being a tool or a language to help people. So it goes deeper than just the astrology. It's like talking about what some of the meanings of the moon being tied to like our emotions and our internal processes, and ways of existing. And so it's like getting at things like your, inner child, and diving into like the deeper parts of what that moon can mean. So for me, I have the moon in Scorpio in the 9th house with a lot of other things going on, including Pluto. And it's at 0 degrees trining my ascendant. So yeah, it's so funny because it's one of those placements that, you always hear like, oh, Scorpio moon, like terrible. A lot of like negative interpretations for sure. And that's not been like necessarily my experience. I have a good relationship with my mom, the moon being a stand-in the chart sometimes for the mother. But it definitely, like, there are aspects of those negative connotations that I see play out. One of them being literally like trying to decide if I should sign up for this course, being like, oh, I don't really need that. I don't need to sign up for another astrology class right now. And like a Scorpio moon, just if we think of it in terms of like the moon wanting to be exalted over in Taurus, and like feeling like it can have all of its needs met there, and then the moon being in its fall in Scorpio, and like Scorpio kind of having like this, like I just picture Scorpio moon being like this barren kind of landscape of like not really like needing much to survive or even to thrive. But something that I've learned since starting to study astrology is that I feel much better when I just give myself the things that I that would be nice to have. No, I don't need the class. Would it be nice to take it? Yeah, it would. And I can like do that for myself without like, I don't know, getting so caught up in all the other things that it means. So, yeah, when I stopped and thought about that, it was like a no-brainer that, okay, if I'm having this much hesitation over giving myself something that I would like to do, that I could feasibly do with the funds that I've like, the small funds that I've set aside from my astrology business so far, why shouldn't I take this class? And it's just every indication of like, if I'm struggling that much, that this is the class that I probably should take. On top of so many other like omens and synchronicities and things. I was not sure, it's hard, it can be hard to decide. There's a lot of options right now in astrology for classes to take. There's so many teachers out there that are just brilliant. And again, there are limited funds, so, and time, right? Like time and energy, and also trying to decipher, like, not only are they going to be a good teacher, but also what direction do I want to go in with my studies, and as like a student and as a practitioner, do I want to learn more technical skills, to be able to do different timing techniques, and really hone in on like the finer details of some of that, which I do have some interest in. Or do I want to, explore other types of astrology? Evolutionary astrology is of interest to me. There's just so much out there. Again, it's like all of these rabbit holes and all of these things, which is like the great thing, and also can be like analysis paralysis if we're once we have all of these options. So I think where I've found myself is that while I do love the technical parts of astrology and like especially traditional timing techniques, I think right now I'm more interested in like the qualitative and the like going deeper on like the spirituality or spiritual side and mystical side of astrology. That feels like what's shiny for me and what is like in a selfish way like what I feel like I need for my moon, actually, like to allow myself to really go there as much as I want to. So I have Scorpio in the 9th house, where my moon is. I don't know if I said the 9th house before, but yeah, it's like this lust for wanting to go deeper, and in the 9th house, those topics of like astrology and spirituality, but so I have some different things there. I have Mercury there too, which is very analytical, and then I have Venus there, Pluto, and the moon. But this moon, like, again, like wanting to start there and start with that, and it feels like a process of, I don't even want to say like working on myself, but becoming more aware of myself and giving more space to myself, that will also in turn help me be able to give a better awareness and space to other people. So that's kind of where I'm at with my studies right now. I think that's why I decided to go the route that I'm going in terms of like my next course of study. If you're interested in this particular class, again, it's called Moon to Moon. Britten LaRue it's all on her website. I think it's emergenceastrology.com. I'll put it in the show notes. But yeah, as a teacher, there's something about Britten that I'm excited to work with too, that's like, I really relate to her story. She's calls herself a recovering academic, which I can really relate to. I never like worked in academia, but I have Saturn in the 10th house in Sagittarius, and I was always an overachiever all through school. There was a lot of pressure to like perform academically, and I was good at it. But it also never felt good. Or like, I don't know, I couldn't really enjoy it at the same time, and it felt like it was missing. I think I've kind of explored this a little bit in one of my earlier episodes of like, it's missing something. Like academia doesn't have, it's like this emotional piece in this whole other side of existence that is kind of not talked about, or not allowed in that space. So it feels really good to like now as an adult be exploring that aspect of existence and the other ways of knowing. So I relate to that story. I think we have some good charts in history too. She's an Aries rising. My Jupiter is in Aries, and Jupiter is my chart ruler, but also it can be like it can be like a stand-in for like a teacher in the birth chart, I think. So it feels really obvious, like, well, okay, this is like my next teacher. Adam Ellenboss is my first teacher. And I am very grateful to him for all that I've learned in his classes. And I might continue to take classes with him too. But yeah, this is my next teacher. I like the idea of like having these different teachers and, you know, picking up different things from each of them. It's like, it's cool. I don't know what else to say about it, but you know, you take a little bit from each of them and make it your own, and share it with the next person, and they take that from you. It's like the circle. I feel like I'm rambling. But yeah, Britten, check out her website. There's just something about, the story coming to spirituality and astrology later in life as a mother, somebody with like parenting responsibilities and like balancing those householder type activities. It's very relatable and seems very timely. It's also like the timing of this class. It's like, it's pre-recorded, so it's like asynchronous, which I don't have a lot of time right now as somebody with a full-time job and 3 kids. It's hard for me to make any live classes. As much as I would love to spend my Saturdays going to a class, I can't make it work no matter how hard I try. And I don't know if I want to. Those, like I think I've said in another episode, are like, those are family days. And that's like the time that I keep sacred for spending with my kids and my husband, and doing other activities with the occasional activity just for me too. So the kids are going back to school. This starts next week, like the day everybody goes back. Maybe the day before, but you know, it's asynchronous. So yeah, I'm excited. It's been a journey of like figuring out what this next step is, and feeling very indecisive. I had been feeling very indecisive or unsure, like what's the best route to go, and it feels very good and like relieving to have just, 1, made a decision, but 2, that it's all about like the moon, and it's not something that I need to pursue or like try at. It's the moon. It's like I can just be. Like the moon's about just being. So it feels like very supportive, and also like I'm gonna get a lot out of it that I can then in turn use in my own practice. So yeah, these are my moon day thoughts. It's kind of a busy week. I've got 3 days of work, and then 4 days of family vacation. So any parent out there knows that just means though I have 3 days, I have about 10 days of things to cram into these 3 days, to be prepared to get out of town. So, I'm looking forward to spending time with the family, having a long weekend before Labor Day. And then when I get back, it's like I got a little bit of breathing room, maybe a day, and then it's all systems go, back to school, back to work, ramping up my own astrology studies, practice, projects. It's going to be September. It's Virgo season. So yeah, I'm looking down the barrel of a lot of work this week, but it's all setting in motion like this next season, and I'm really excited. So on that note, I'm going to leave you a little early today, a little bit of a shorter episode. But yeah, if you're interested again in that class, I'll link it in the show notes. I've done a little bit of Britten's other work, and I can say she's a fabulous, her other offerings, and I can say she's a fabulous teacher. If you haven't looked at her work, just check it out. I think if you are unfamiliar, she can seem like another woo girl on social media, but and I mean that like in the best way possible, that like she looks really cool and presents her stuff in a really cool way, but like it's not just the visuals and it's not just like the fluff. There's like this deep academic that's underneath that. So I encourage you to like give it a second chance if you haven't engaged with her work on a deeper level yet. She had a great episode on the Astrology podcast called Unshaming the Zodiac with her book Living Astrology. So definitely familiarize yourself with that if you haven't already. It kind of blew my mind. I just hadn't heard anyone really talking about astrology in that same way, so clearly naming how it can be misused or how we can shame ourselves, or using astrology as just another way to shame ourselves. So yeah. All right. I think that's enough rambling for me today. Later this week, I'll be back, or next week, I'll be back with my next guest, Freya Morgan. So stay tuned for that. And yeah, let me know if you have any thoughts on the moon transiting your 4th house, the moon in Gemini. I'm here for it. Thanks for joining me. Thanks for listening. Thanks for giving me your time. I hope you all have a wonderful week and a restful Labor Day if that's in the cards for you. And if not, I hope there's rest ahead for you too. For more information about my work, you can find me at By Jove Astro on Instagram, at By Jove Astrology on Twitter, and the best place to find me of all is at my website, byjoveastrology.com.